There we go. Algebra 2, lesson 91, linear inequalities greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and systems of linear inequalities. So this is kind of like an advance from the inequalities we've been doing with number lines. We're going to start doing them with graphs and the equations of lines or linear equations. Let's just jump into one of these. So let's say in our graph, or in our inequality, we get the inequality y is equal to, or sorry, not equal to, say y is greater than negative 1/2 x plus 1. Right? So to graph this, we'll go ahead and use our slope-intercept method. I know that b is positive 1, so that's 1 point. My slope is a negative 1/2, so I drop 1 for every 2 that I move over. Or conversely, if I go back 2, I rise 1. So that gives me my line. Go ahead and make this nice and straight. All right, so this is the line y equals negative 1/2 x plus 1. Now, I don't want to graph the line. I want to graph the inequality y is greater than this. Now, just like our numbers, if y is greater than, then y cannot be equal to this line. Normally, in a number line, if I wanted to say that, y is greater than 2, I would just go to 2 and draw an open circle, right? To show that I'm not actually at 2, and then I would draw my line to the right, right? But we don't have that option since, this is a line. We can't just draw a giant open circle on the entire line. But what we can do is we can take our eraser after we draw the line, and we can make it a dashed line. So when you're doing inequalities with lines, dotted lines are lines that are not equal to. Solid lines are lines that are equal to. Now, the last problem is, how do I show that y is greater than this line? Well, that's very simple. Anything above the line is greater, anything below the line is less than. So for this, I would just shade in the entire top half of the line. And you can shade it in just like this. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like in the book, they show your shading like that, where like the entire graph is all darkened. This is good enough. This gets the point across. Or if you don't like how sloppy that looks and you want to do it neatly, you could always just draw horizontal lines like this. Right? So that's a neat way of shading it. Right? And I know which side is shaded. Okay? So now that's how you do a single line. Now we're going to be doing multiple lines, and then we got to figure out greater than, less than, equal to. Right? So we'll come up with 2 equations really quick. Where are they? Is this all we're doing this lesson? It is. Wow, this is going to be a little bit easier than I thought. So we'll do this one. So we have y is less than 1/2 x plus 2. And then we have y is greater than and equal to negative x minus 3. And I just realized you guys didn't see any of that. Staring at my forearm. Okay, so these are our 2 equations. So we'll start by graphing the lines. And I'm going to use slope-intercept method because it's the fastest form to graph. So positive 2 means that this line is going to pass through that axis right there. And then it's got a positive slope of 1/2. So rise of 1 over a run of 2, rise of 1 over a run of 2, or a drop of 1 over a drop of 2. And that is my first line. Now, if you're not a fan of erasing all over your paper to try to get a dashed line, you can take a straight edge and you can just draw a dashed line on a straight edge, because I see that this is not equal to, so I know the line is going to be dashed. So I'll just do that. Ta-da, dashed line. Now, we also have to graph negative x minus 3. So this y-intercept is going to be at negative 3. Negative x is a slope of negative 1 over 1. So drop 1 over 1, rise 1 over 1. And this one is equal to, so I can draw a solid line for for this one. And I've got my two lines. Now the question here is, which portion do I shade? So if y is greater than this line, so I have to shade above this line, right? So I've got two options, here or here. But y also has to be greater than this line. So the only option I have left that's still above this line is this right here. If I go over here, I'm now below the bottom, the second line. So I'll shade that just like this. And I know that that's the portion that satisfies the graph. That's it for this lesson. Nice short video. Different variations that you can see in this problem. You can see sometimes your lines will be parallel, and you'll get shadings that are either in between the lines. So that's something that'll happen. What other different solutions? Nope, that's it. I didn't show you guys a whole lot of different variations. But anyways, that's it for this lesson. If you have any questions, let me know on Moodle, and I will see you in class.